Video cast and podcast for the week ending November 6, 2016. I am joined, as usual, by the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Kenny Smyers, the Pittsburgh Steeler control man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Buddy, I don't know about it is up in your neck of the woods, but it's like a summer day down here in Atlanta.
We have gorgeous weather, but it's cold, right? We have weather temperature fluctuations of about 40 degrees every day now. It'll go down to 34. We had frost on the windows yesterday morning, but it went up to 65 degrees. So we're having a spectacular, wintry start where you definitely got to start wearing a coat and maybe gloves. And then all of a sudden by the afternoon, you can go golfing. So we're going to take it as long as we can. We're supposed to have the pressure change at the end of this next week. I think we're going to actually start talking about, getting the snow removal equipment ready and get the salt where it belongs, because it's going to happen. We're like one pressure center away from having our first snowfall. But gorgeous weather here, Eric. But I'm jealous with you guys walking around in shorts. I saw you wearing shorts.
Well, good deal, man. What can I say? But hey, we do have a question on the text line here from Antonio B. Let me see, Antonio Brown. He wants to know how you're doing with your paddle tennis league.
Oh, we're kicking butt on our paddle tennis. Platform tennis is a new game to me. I'm sore as hell all the time, but it's fun because some of the tennis skills I had and can't use anymore. I get to run around inside this it's caged in, so you can play off the fences, the side and back fence. But we're 4-1. We're doing really well. We lost a really close. Actually, we didn't even lose. We tied. So we're 4-0-1. But it's real fun. It's guys, anywhere from 30 to 70. And they're all good athletes. They all really take themselves seriously. So it's a lot of fun. And you play in the winter. I mean, it's a cold winter sport. The underground, the platform is heated by a air handling unit right off to the side. And it kicks on and it melts the snow, and it keeps the playing surface relatively dry. But you play through pouring rain, and you play through snow. It's crazy, fun.
So you're playing outside then?
Yeah.
So my understanding is it's like a combination of it's like combat tennis, right? Where you can actually physically abuse other people, and it's kind of the toughest guy. Cage fighting and tennis, is that kind of what it is?
Wrong.
No. Okay. All right.
No, it's more finesse. I mean, you can hit the ball hard, but it only works to your disadvantage because it can bounce off the back wall and then set itself up for a nice passing shot. So the idea is like use the corners and hit soft shots, but hit them where they ain't, sort of thing.
I got you. Well, hey,
it's fun.
Speaking of big shots, man, I tell you what, we got the Control Trends Awards coming up. And we got some new sponsors, and we got our sponsors. Again, if you're a platinum sponsor, you get to sponsor some of these shows. It's included in your package. And Kenny, first of all, thanks to all our sponsors. It looks like we're going to be able to have the show this year. Thank goodness, because we've already booked the place. It looks like it's going to be spectacular as usual. But who are we going to feature this week on the sponsorship?
Well, our platinum sponsor this week is Distech, and Distech is just on the move. They're part of the Acuity brands. The vision of Distech it's an innovation leader in energy management solutions. Distech Controls provides unique building management technologies and services that optimize energy efficiency and comfort in buildings, all the while reducing operating costs. We deliver innovation solutions for greener buildings through our passion for innovation, quality, customer satisfaction, and sustainability. And what's really cool about Distech is they have a very short but astute mission statement: is to deliver innovative products and leading solutions that empower businesses and individuals to achieve energy efficiency. So well done, Distech Controls.
Well, yeah, and I want a special shout out to Dan Flaherty. Dan is over at Distech now, and Dan used to be with another major manufacturer. Dan's one of the really great sort of ingenious marketing minds in our industry. And Dan's first order of business when he went on with Distech is he brought Martin Villalise, the CEO of Distech, over along with Eugene Mazzo, DG Logic was also purchased by Acuity Brands. So we did an interview with them a while back, Kenny. That was one of the first things Dan did when he got on board, and it's a great interview. I think you get a feel for how innovative these guys are, and I think the sky's the limit with them, meaning that now that they've got Acuity with their lighting know-how, DG Logic with their graphical interface and analytics know-how, these guys are going to be a true powerhouse. Dan is up for a couple of awards on the Control Trends nomination ballot, as well as Martin for CEO. And again, Kenny, before we get to our next sponsor, have you voted yet?
Have I voted? Of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm talking about not the election. That's secondary. I'm talking about on the nomination ballots, big dog. Nomination period is going on now. I set you up with that nomination period, but you knew I was going to do it. But the nomination period is going on now, and again, the way that works, you can choose up to 3 people for each category. Okay, and you can also write in people. There's an other category that you can write them in. If we get more than one write-in, Kenny automatically adds them to the main ballot, and that vote counts. So, again, now's the time to get out and nominate. Once you nominate, we'll have your email address. We'll send you the finals. We'll have the top 5 or 6 in each category. And Kenny, we're getting so many new names. It's really, really phenomenal what's going on with the new names that we're getting and the new companies and the new products. So many new people coming into our space. And through the Control Trends Awards, we're finding out a lot about them. But again, please, if you have not hit your nomination ballots yet, hit them. Definitely do your nomination. You can take that link. You can forward it out to your network. And I got to tell you, Kenny, our folks in India are voting a lot. So we got people all over the globe that are voting. We got candidates from all over the world that are being written in and showing up. And I think last year we had several companies from India and Australia and Europe that were in. And I think it looks like at the rate things are going now, it looks like it's going to become a global awards thing.
Sure is. Well, I would take Distech, for instance. Their global headquarters is in Canada, but they've got, presence in Europe. They got presence in the Far East. And EasyIO, for instance, too, is a global company. And you get support from Australia, New Zealand, India, Malaysia. Siemens, for instance, is another company where they had a surprising, and Johnson Controls as well, being global, because they get in a lot of their community, their ecosystem is not just in North America or South America. It's global. So you get a lot of interesting responses. And then the systems integrators of the year, we've gotten inputs now from the Middle East, all of Western Europe, and now we're seeing some from Mexico. So, I mean, it's just, it's the internet. So we don't know who's going to read it or who's going to respond to it. But as long as they're in the business and they understand what we're trying to do and they support it, then they're very welcome to participate, and their votes impact, make a big impact. So it's some of the folks aren't really, connecting to getting their communities involved. And that's a shame, because this is where you really want to do that legwork. Because then, like you say, the more the people that nominate are part of that nomination process, then become the voters that actually, lead to the success in each category. So you need to get your...
Yeah, I tell you what, Kenny, and we've got some of the major players, people that have done really, really well in the Control Trends Awards in the previous years. There are a couple of them that just haven't energized their network yet. And then with all these new players, I mean, Silicon Valley's coming in a big way, people from around the world. I mean, we're in jeopardy of maybe having some of these major names not even making the finals. So if you're out there, not to name names, hey, now's the time to get it done, because we'll run the nomination period through the end of November. And then right around the first week in December, we'll announce the finalists, and then we'll be on the homeward glide with that. So, but speaking of that, Kenny, who is our second sponsor this week?
The second sponsor we have is Connect Air, and this is a nice company that keeps getting bigger and better. So Connect Air is your wire and cable connection. Connect Air is the industry leader in the distribution of low voltage wire and cable serving the continental United States and now Canada. So they've opened a new Canadian location in Vancouver, British Columbia, and these guys have some great leadership. You can tell us about their leadership here, but they're all about wire and cable for equipment, cable assemblies. So these are the people that make the products that keep your network sound and give you reliable products so that you don't have any issues with your low voltage wire and cable. Talk about the leadership.
All I got to say is Sarah smile. Sarah Montalonia, man. I tell you what, Sarah is one of the really, really great people in our industry, Kenny. I mean, I've known Sarah for years. I mean, for you young guns out there, we'll talk a bit about young guns in a little bit, or even you veterans. If you want to know how to do it right, you've got to check Sarah out. She is one of the all-time great people person in terms of, I mean, you matter to her. Connect Air does a fantastic job in terms of their customer support and customer service. But hey, Sarah, we love you. We love Sarah. And Sarah's up for a couple of awards this year. Executive of the Year. She's also up for the Control Trends Woman of the Year. She's on the nomination ballot. And so all you companies that are not voting for your own people, you should at least vote for Sarah because she's good folks. Good folks, Kenny Smyers.
Sure.
All right, big dog.
Well, we got next up. We have functional devices. Now, I can't say enough about these folks either. Again, these are the accessory manufacturers. Functional Devices has been manufacturing quality electronic devices in the United States of America since 1969. And they have a very large portfolio of products. You know, they have the relays, of course. They have lighting enhanced relays. They have building automation, HVAC products. They just wireless, rescue clubs. I call them when you miss a point and you need to add a lawn point onto your network. You can get a Functional Devices, relay that'll do that job for you, or BACnet. Just do a great job all in all. We have a post from a gentleman from Functional Devices later on in the show. He's their technical support and engineer from, I believe, Purdue. And we'll be talking a little bit more about functional devices here in the very near future.
What? Oops. I tell you what, Kenny, functional devices, I mean, if you're doing any sort of automation at all, you've used their products. The relay in a box is a staple. They're coming out with some really cool stuff. They got some great trainers. Again, great products. And our girl, Angie Jarvis, who's with Prolaw now, used to be there. Gives you an idea of the kind of people that they attract. So, good stuff there, big dog. Good stuff. And, man, we're just going to sort of take it nice and easy today. What do we have up next?
Well, we got two more, so let's go with ACI next, who does has a real neat motto, and I always enjoy that because I believe in that philosophy. It's short, simple, and everybody gets on the same page. But they believe in engineering a better sensor solution. So this is the company-wide philosophy at ACI, and it begins with the engineering team, and it replicates throughout their organization, and they take it all the way to the community. So again, if you've been in the business, you've used ACI, whether it's for temperature, pressure, sensors of every 10K, 20, just you name it, and they can make it too. So any of the sensing requirements, they probably make a lot of the sensors for the manufacturer. So if you don't think you're using ACI, you probably are. And that goes all the way to humidity too. And they also have a big wireless product portfolio. And of course, they've got one of the slickest, talk about rescue clubs when you're doing any kind of interfaces, or you need to, extend your 0 to 10, you need better control, better resolution. They have all these neat little things that'll take pneumatic to electronic, and then give you wider, bands to work with, so you have greater control and greater customer satisfaction. So visit ACI at work-aci.com. And Eric, that takes us to our last one.
Hang on a second. I got a thing or two to say about ACI. I mean, first of all, if you're in Wisconsin, it's one of the greatest places to work because over and over, they are being recognized by Wisconsin as one of the great American companies and great places to work. They got people like Barry Flash Gordon and great folks up there. Barry, if you're a fantasy football player, he still's got his cheese league, right? His fantasy football league.
Cheesehead League, oh man, it's ACI. It's a lot of fun. They have it both for NASCAR and for fantasy football.
There you go.
Not fantasy football. You pick the team that you think is going to win. There's no point spreads. You either pick a winner or a loser out of the 15 games being played, and then you assign a value. So if you think the Atlanta Falcons are going to beat Tampa Bay, then you put 16 next to that, like I did, and I won 16 points on Thursday. So well done, Atlanta. But that's what I mean. Just they make fun out of something easy, simple, but they engage the community, and they do a great job with webinars. We had Brant. Let's see what his seminar on the interface units on Monday, I think, or was it Wednesday? It was a live webinar.
It is great. They do a great job with those live webinars, man. They do. Hey, speaking of live webinars, Kenny, when you're doing your Skype thing, because we're on Skype right now, right? I get these little pop-ups. I got one that says Bambi Baby has a new video for you. Think I should click on that?
I wouldn't.
Do you follow her?
No, she's
Y-
not in my follow
Okay.
list
All
there.
right.
But
I think I better delete that one. Bambi baby. All right. Cool. All
uh,
right. What's next, big dog?
I well, we're going to begin our week. We have last week we were very short on posts and very big on interviews. We had 3 amazing interviews last week. This week, it kind of changes the ratio. We have 11 posts today, and the first one starts out with a review of Ken St. Clair's Automated Buildings November theme: Open Edge software fuels self-learning operability. And we're talking about the professor of automation here, building automation,
We're
Mr.
talking
Ken
about
St.
Notre
Clair.
Dame is what we're talking about. He's a Notre Dame of our industry, big dog.
Well, I think he's just got such
He's got a
an
handle
extra.
on it. His
Well,
predictions.
he's got 50 years of experience, and he's seen the pendulum swing back with technology, and he's gone through many of those resistive modes where people see the technology coming, but they want to hold on it. They don't want to get out of their sweet spot. And he's saying that this thing now has changed. The way technology is flopping over the previous edition or the previous iteration is just incredible. And now you're getting players that weren't necessarily involved in building management or understand the building envelope space, getting involved with the technology that will be introduced to that space. So he's just he's on top of it. He's kind of he's pulling off. I said in the post that he's pulling the lid off of the next future of our industry before it's even bottled. So he's granting IoT no sanctuary. Ken St. Clair's November pursuit is clear. Our revolutionary themes for the last few months have led us to the importance of open software movements as part of our journey. So when you get into the open side of things, he does have one caveat, and that's what I mean when you say he's Nostradamus. I agree with you. He's concerned that once we've defeated the protocol wars at the at the network level inside of buildings, now we might face another proprietary lock up in the cloud because of the people. So
Cloud lock, man.
Ooh,
Cloud
you heard
lock.
it.
I think that's coming. You and I've been talking about that, and guys
Cloud
like
lock. I like
Scotty
that.
Cochran have been talking about how you open things up, and then they even with at the Jace level, try to open them up, and you want to lock them back down again. So I mean, I think that is the nature of business, right? I mean, you're always trying to get that proprietary edge. But Ken, I love it, man. You say you want a revolution. Well, and I tell you what, we did the interview last week is great. If you go to the Control Talk Now last week, listen to Ken's interview. It's phenomenal. This guy, Kenny, is a wealth of knowledge. I mean, he really is. It's a little bit like, if you want to get good investment advice, you listen to Warren Buffett, right? And Ken sort of lets you in. He holds no punches back. And what I'm really liking about him right now too, Kenny, is he's saying some stuff that's not necessarily popular. But I think he's right on. But I think we're going to call it cloud lock is going to be one of the trends we're going to be talking
That's an
about.
interesting. I think I haven't heard that before. I think that's pretty appropriate.
That's kind of a Ken Smiresism.
No,
You're the
that was Eric.
wordsmith, man.
That was Eric. That was you, Eric.
All right,
I got this date time group right here. 11/6, 10:57. So but you're right. I mean, imagine we do all this great work and finally get these opportunities to really and truly synergize technology at the building level and really take advantage best in class. It's just everything seems to have worked out the way people have predicted it and worked for many years, only to have it defeated up in the cloud where we have absolutely no say and no play. So it would be a very, very tragic state of affairs if we couldn't intervene now before it's too late. And that's what Ken's saying. And also the other persons that are tracking that is Tree Sullivan and Alper Olsmeiser from
Teresa Apple. We got to get them on the show, Kenny. Maybe we can get them on next week.
Right. She, in fact, go to buildingcontext.me. Therese has an amazingly accurate, definitive pinpointing where these lock points could occur. So good stuff.
Well, it is, Kenny, and and we kind of beat this theme to death. We've mentioned it a couple of times anyway, but I think it bears mentioning it again. I know we got a lot of one of the major manufacturers now is ask all their employees to sign up and listen to us. So like it or not, Kenny, we got a lot of younger folks, young guns listening to us, and I think one of the other things we've sort of spotted too is the age of entitlement is over. There are no free handouts, meaning that think of it, because you have a territory, you're a lock. Think of because you have a product, you're a lock. It just doesn't exist anymore. And so that being said, I think you have to earn your way every single day. And I think staying close to your relationships are probably more critical than ever. And, we got a major manufacturer right now that I think is getting ready to do an end run on us. And, it's just like, they're strapped right now. And, the traditional solution has been, let's just set somebody else up and go around these guys or whatever. And, no use crying over spilled milk. I mean, it's just, that's going to happen. And more and more. And I think from the manufacturer's perspective, I would say, and we got another company, Siemens, I think is really good at this. And there are a lot of them that are, really value and ride the good times with your partners, distributors, and integrators. Ride the good times, but also ride the hard times with them. And I think in the past, when things got bad, they go set other people up. They would sort of panic, and then when things got good again, they lost some of that loyalty factor. So the reality about business is the cycles go up, the cycles go down, and you just try to trend up if you can. But I'm seeing a lot of changes. I'm seeing a lot of nervous people out there, Kenny, and I think the reality, we listened to that economist talk at the Johnson Controls meeting, and if you're paying attention to him and what he's saying, we got a little bump in the road right now, but things should be good to 2030. And again, I think, your strategic partners and your relationships are where it's at. You got to love them in the good times. You got to love them in the bad times.
Sure. But I think, like you had mentioned earlier too, that the internet and all the things that we're seeing happen, we're in a permissionless society now. So you don't need somebody's permission to go ahead and start doing stuff. You can. That's why a lot of these startup companies are just began with music. I think where the music companies that used to dominate and say who the next hit was and what group was going to go all the way, those days are over. They can no longer predict who's going to make that YouTube is going to get 5 million hits in 1 week, and YouTube carries them into the next phase of stardom. And so I think we're seeing that with our technologies. We're seeing products coming out of the blue that when they throw them against the wall, they're sticking. And not only are they sticking, but they're proving their worth and their value, and they're changing the actual desire of the market. People now are going to start inclining in ways that they don't have to go through layers of people. So being one of those layers as a business, we know that, like you said, you have to add value every day, and whoever's holding the hands of the customer, the user experience is that's the end zone. A happy customer is the one that's going to, he or she is going to dictate how those services and solutions get administered to their organizations or their facilities or whatever. So it's like a new jargon that we have to learn. We have to learn a whole new style of sales. We have to know a whole support, and we have to be involved. We have to be engaging. So if you have an attitude and standoffish and dictate through ultimatums, then you're kind of living you're being phased out.
You're kind of like the high school cheerleader that was really great, really gorgeous, in her early years, and just could say or do whatever she wanted to do. And now she's 40 pounds overweight, and she goes to the high school reunion, and she's acting the same way, and she doesn't realize she's lost her looks, right? I mean, kind of like that. Is that what you're saying?
I can't either confirm or deny that Eric Stromquist just said that on live and on the control.
I tell you what, the other thing, Kenny, there's this great book out there called Made to Stick by the Heath brothers, and they bring then all kinds of statistical analysis and stuff like that. And you and I have talked a lot about the messaging being more important now than ever, and marketing being more important now than ever. And their deal is, if you give people more than 3 decisions, they can't make one. And I think, there's another saying that we've used before, and it's a Chinese saying that in the midst of chaos comes great opportunity, right? And I think we are at the beginnings of a very chaotic phase as all these people are coming into our industry. It's just getting shaken up. And I think that the opportunity is, with all these choices, if you're the one that can sort of be the simplistic one that has the message, has the trust of the customer, I think you're going to do very, very well. And I think that's going to be more important right now than price and product and everything else. So again, we talk a lot about that. And I think that's going to continue to be a trend.
Well, yeah. And since you're throwing this Chinese proverbs up, one of my favorite ones is that as long as the world's round, nothing's on the level, And that's kind of, so that as you think you've got a handle on it, and you're so accustomed to, these a routine, in sweet spots, is that it's a moving. We're in a static environment, or not a non-static environment. We're in a turbulent times of disruption, and so.
Well, hang on. As long as we're talking about round things in the world, we're speaking metaphorically here. I mean, think about this for a minute, man. Christopher Columbus was not even a very good sailor or navigator or anything else, yet he's the guy who convinced the Queen to give him the money so that he could go discover the new world. So you don't even have to be the best, but I think you have to be clever and you have to be willing to work hard and you have to be innovative.
Yeah, but he was 400 years late. The Vikings went over on a wooden ship about 1/10 the size and made it. And so determination.
Yeah, they did not get the Queen.
We don't know which queens got taken by the Vikings. Now, so
Let's move on to the next post, Kenny. We're about to go to a deep dark hole
but that's
here.
a great analogy because you had the sanctioned discovery done by the traditional Christopher Columbus, but then you had the Vikings who set sail because they just were determined to find something different or new, or they were running from something, but they made it across and back a couple of times before, many hundreds of years before. The official discovery.
But they weren't thinking in terms of a proprietary protocol, so they lost out, right? Where Christopher Columbus was all about the proprietary system, right?
The flag. Okay, you're right. We beat that one. But transitioning to the next post is just recognition where recognition belongs. This is a good post on just bread and butter stuff: functional devices, energy savings applications. Tech Tuesday with Henry Smith, and I had an opportunity to meet with our functional device local sales representative, and she did an amazing job. I think her name's Margaret Taggart. I believe I left her card. I wanted to be able to say her name here, so I apologize. But she told us what's going on with functional devices, and I'll tell you what, they're on the move in a very, very determined way that as technology becomes more and more important, they are making their own technology strides. And they also have a very ambitious, internal technology group that they look at what they have, and with their own product portfolio, they can actually make big impacts on energy. And the focus of this Tech Tuesday was that the gentleman who wrote the post, Henry Smith, who was a graduate of, he was a graduate of Purdue University in 2014, but when he was young, he had a lifelong passion for electronics and how things work. So he came up with this concept here on how to implement energy-saving technologies in his own house with an automated lighting system, smart thermostat controls with a high-efficiency heat pump, and many energy-saving appliances. So he takes us to the next step and makes this a commercial thing. Or it could be where big energy users in the office buildings and hotels can realize the larger savings with very small efforts. So problem one, leaving the lights on, unoccupied meeting a room. So that's big waste. Everybody knows that. So he has an Enotion wireless rib product that can be paired with an occupancy sensor to control lighting. So then also problem two was another application that he received frequent inquiries about his hotel room's energy management. The concern is the guest would unknowingly leave a hotel room window open or patio door while the room is being heated or cooled. This would, of course, waste tremendous amounts of energy and potentially overuse the HVAC system. So they also have another product for that, Enotion-enabled relay and one or more wireless door sensors. They actually have product numbers here. So the Enotion technology then saves a great deal of money, saves a great deal of wear and tear on the equipment, and we're talking a very low-cost solution. So it's a great post.
It's a great post, and I tell you what, we're all over functional devices. Great job, Henry Smith. But hey, be young, be foolish, but be happy, right? Next Generation Innovation featuring Rob Allen and Brad White. They got down with Lindsay Baker on the second podcast.
Well, it's a great idea. We've got the next generation coming in behind us, and these guys actually really and truly take it to heart and are impact players. The whole idea of a young gun was the concept that we need to create role models or identify role models that we can brag about, and by identifying these people and kind of reverse engineering how they got into the industries, whether they were engineers like the gentleman we just talked about from functional devices, or they just kind of serendipity happened to into the industry. They're now in a position to change the world. And as you said, there's very few industries that you can actually go in and make an impact to make the world greener than HVAC. So I think we transition into the younger generation. We're seeing a whole new set of younger people, around 30 years or younger, coming into our industry, already established, already making a big impact. And we need to highlight these folks and let everybody know that not only is this the next generation, but this is also how you can get into our industry, and that these people are really excited about what they do. They could have went into 1,000 different directions or different industries, but they picked ours and they really believe in what they're doing, and they're very successful. And of course, it's a lucrative profession. Most of the people that are successful in HVAC, even in a service capacity, they start out with good wages, and they get, whether you're going through the trades or you're going through the independent channels, you have a chance to make a good, sustainable career. So please take a look at HVAC, building automation, and
absolutely. And I think the whole thing with Rob and Rob Allen put together and is innovation generation really is a voice for the young guns in our industry, right? The younger people coming through, so we get their perspective.
Sure.
So if you listen to the podcast, this episode with Lindsay Baker, I mean, we've interviewed Lindsay a couple of times, and Brad and Rob, they sort of ask different questions. They have a different cut on it, and so it's really cool stuff. And that's an awesome picture of the guy with the basketball. I wonder where that came from.
I think that was you on one of your sojourns to your past with photography in Chicago, wasn't it?
I think it might have been.
It's kind of neat. How did you do that with Spalding? How did you do that?
Dumb luck, man. We've been out shooting street photography all day. I was at a workshop, and I tell you, we're dead tired, and we're at this festival. I see this guy go by with the basketball, right, and I just don't want to get up to try and take a picture of him. I'm too tired, and everybody else is tired too. So about 10 minutes go by. I got to go do it. So I go sprinting down the street, catch up with this guy about 5 minutes later, totally out of breath. Go, gotta take your picture. He looked at me like I was crazy as hell, but he says, "What do you want me to do?" So throw the basketball up in there. Click, 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 click. And, I tell you, this is kind of another metaphor. Photography is kind of a great metaphor, which is the only way you're going to get a good shot is you got to take a lot of them. And if you're not taking any shots, you don't have a chance at all of getting a good shot. But everything sort of lined up, and I thought it was a pretty cool shot. So
it was. And just to go back and talk about Lindsay Baker for a while, we do know her for a long time. I was on a panel at Realcomm twice where she was one of our. She was, a mainstay speaker about Comfy, but Lindsay's a relation building, and she leads relations. Come on, Ken, take two. Lindsay leads relationship building and serves as a chief brand evangelist. She's an established writer in green building community, and she was previously a sustainable operations consultant at Google. She has a PhD candidate in building science at UC Berkeley and was on the original staff of the team developing the lead rating system at USGBC. So she's a young person, but she's already got an extensive background and a myriad of experiences that are just going to keep making a bigger impact in our industry. Well done, Lindsay.
Well done, Lindsay. And I tell you what, if you were going to put together a Silicon Valley power couple, right, kind of like they do in LA, we were going to start celebrity gossips and rumor. None of this is true, by the way, but this is just sort of thinking. I mean, you pair Lindsay Baker with Josh Bradshaw, and oh my gosh, man, you got Silicon Valley just covered, don't you? I think it'd have to be her and Josh Bradshaw instead of her and Jim Young. And then, but yeah, Josh, we had him on last week. If you didn't get a chance to check his interview out, you want to check that out for sure. But again, we talk a lot about, and again, if you check Ken's interviews are out, or you listen to interviews out, or if you listen to what Rob has to say, you see that Comfy and that whole Silicon Valley sort of mentality is they don't have the rules. They're not dealing with the rules we did in the past. They're creating contextualization for these technologies. And then, like it or not, I mean, if you're a manufacturer and you want to sort of know what's going to be cool, what's going to be hip, you really got to be talking to people like Josh Bradshaw, Therese Sullivan, or, Lindsay Baker, because who would have thought? I mean, every integrator I meet go, that Comfy app's nothing. We could write that in 2 seconds. It's not a big deal. Yet they haven't. And companies marketed it because I think they understand, again, it's not about the technology. It's about the messaging. It's about understanding or creating the needs. Here's another quote for you, right? Henry Ford. Somebody asked Henry Ford, why don't you ever ask your customers what you want? You know faster what he said? Horse. They'd want a faster horse and carriage. Steve Jobs was the same way. But what I'm getting at is companies like Comfy are figuring out what they want before they even know they want it. They're building it, and then they're marketing it in such a way that they want it. They don't care if Comfy's been around for 150 years and made the first thermostat. They really don't. So, I mean, I think that's just a key message that we all have to keep in mind coming from the traditional part of smart buildings and HVAC controls is nobody cares about how it was done in the past. Nobody cares what we did in the past. What they care about is what can you do for me now? It's the Janet Jackson mentality, right? We are just really throwing them out today, aren't we? What have you done for me lately?
Well, I'm talking about Josh Bradshaw. He was on Facebook this morning. I was looking at what he did. He was at the Levi Stadium out there in San Francisco, and they had some kind of a convention going on where he was with a company representative from Korea, where they were doing this new three virtual positioning where the gentleman from South Korea was on the front stage, so he's left side. Josh was behind him on another computer monitor, within, maybe a couple feet away, and then the other person was in Korea. And they had them sitting together on the screen like they were side by side, and they were doing everything kind of in unison so that you can fool people. It's virtual reality where there are three different places, but the appearance is that they're side by side in the room or in a classroom. So they're saying that this is going to be one of the new opportunities for education and for webinars and for remote learning, is that they're going to populate a screen with people from all over the world, like they're sitting together in a classroom. So people like to have that group learning experience, or it's a corporate meeting. Everybody's in a different part of the world, but on the screen, they're sitting in like chairs, as though they were in an auditorium side by side. So it was
we got to get that technology, buddy.
Well, then all of a sudden you feel like you're in a classroom now. You don't feel like you're isolated at your house in your pajamas, drinking coffee, because, you just don't have the same kind of attendance mentality. But if you're in this kind of a virtual positioning situationally, you have that, you catch on to the group, the classroom spirit, whatever, and everybody's watching everybody, but here you are in different parts of the world. So it's an incredible thing. So Josh is on top of these things. And it's very important that you give an eye and an ear to that stuff, because it's going to come to a neighborhood near you or a business near you, or perhaps your own.
No, I completely agree, Kenny. And I think the thing is, virtual reality is the next big thing. Augmented reality, virtual reality. We've talked a little bit about with that with Ken Sinclair and Josh. And by the way, Josh, if you're listening, I think he follows the show. Thanks so much again for coming on last week. We'll get him on in about 4 or 5 weeks from now. But yeah, Silicon Valley is the tail that's starting to wag the dog, I think. So got to keep up with that. But hey, let's get back to some nuts and bolts, Kenny, because even though it's not really getting too cold yet, it's starting to get cold. And that means stuff's going to break when you turn it on. And guess what? Our next video is one of the most popular videos we've ever had on Control Trends. It's Stromquist and Company's Matt Koenig talking about the right way to install a gas pressure regulator. Because guess what? The thing about gas pressure regulators is they're pretty easy. They're pretty bulletproof if you install them correctly. But if you don't install them right, they don't work.
Well, there's good reasons why. And as Matt puts out in the very first couple of seconds, it's only like a 2 minute and 40 second video, but it is the summary of an important installation of a gas pressure regulator, where you have a drip leg and then you have a wide strainer. Because as it says right at it, when you start this system up, the gas lines are not clean. Everybody thinks the gas is kind of like an air, and that the grit and debris can't fly inside of a gas pressure line, and that's absolutely wrong. Especially so critical to start up. You put that high pressure in there, you have the drip leg open and the wide strainer leg open, and what will happen is most of that debris will be forced out by that pressure out of the line before it goes into affecting the regulator. So got to have a strainer in there, because all the scaling and all the other stuff, the pipe dope and the stuff that could go inside that soft seat of a regulator and prevent it from operating, tear the diaphragm or interfere with the seat sitting properly. So it's just a great basic video, like you said, and it's just well done. And I'll bet you it's going to be hit every day now, because up in the north part of the United States, we're getting cold. The heat's coming on every day now. So in my own house and in our office, the heaters are running probably 3-4 hours in the morning.
Well, they are. And I got to tell you, as a distributor, we handle a bunch of gas pressure regulators. And out of all the product lines we handle, part of what a distributor does for you, a full service distributor, not an internet only distributor, but a full service distributor, is they handle warranties for you. Okay. So essentially that's a cost. I mean, you're a distributor, Kenny. I mean, it's a service that we provide for our customers. It's a cost sink. We're basically fronting a new product, and then we handle shipping the product back, filling the warranty tags out and all that stuff. But I tell you what, out of all the product lines that we handle, and I don't know if it's true for you or not, we get more denied warranties on the gas pressure regulators, because again, like I say, the seat got stuck or whatever because you didn't have the drip leg. You didn't have it piped properly. You send it back to the manufacturer. The manufacturer tests it out. It works fine. They send it back. Now, if you're a contractor or a user who's bought that gas, now you got 2 gas pressure regulators, right? They're saying there's nothing wrong with the regulator. And they're right most of the time. Regulators, like I said at the beginning of this post, they're pretty much bulletproof. I mean, it's very, very rare that a gas pressure regulator is bad out of the box. Agreed or disagree?
Oh, agreed. And like you say, it's a nuisance because if you get that back, it's marked up. It has normally somebody's written on it saying air handler 1 on it, and so you can't sell it as new. So you got to go back to the same people. So you're right. As a distributor, it's a nightmare when you get products sent back from the factory. And some of the great manufacturers, to include Maxitrol, Itron. What's that Italian one that you all have?
Petrofortini.
Yeah, I have trouble with that one, but they're great products and they're tested. I've been to one manufacturing, Itron's manufacturing facility in Lexington, Kentucky, and they don't send bad stuff out. Every one of them's tested, with air, and it holds up to the pressure before it gets put into a box and sent. So they know, they're pretty 100% certain.
Well, and no, you're right. And look, as long as we're talking about distributors today, we kind of got a day where we can talk about some different stuff and go off on some tangents. I want to take a minute and talk about, different types of distributors, right? Because you guys and us are what we call full service distributors. We're members of a group called Controls Group North America, CGNA, controls.net. And I tell you what, Kenny, being a full service distributor, let's put this in perspective. I mean, my biggest cost is I hire tons of technical people that can provide technical knowledge. I have to pay insurance on those people. We have to pay to educate them. By the time we get somebody where they can really help, we probably invest at least $250,000 in training and experience before they're really ready to be able to help people with their challenges and their problems. On top of that, we keep close to $2 million worth of inventory. I know you keep a lot of inventory too. We have to insure that inventory so people can walk in and get it. And then, we obviously provide, financial help for people, because anytime we're offering people terms, we're acting a bit as a bank. So, I want to appeal to our audience out there, because there are a lot of people. In other words, I like to tell people having the lowest price, online is really, really easy. You just don't have any inventory. You don't have any technical support. You don't provide any terms. You don't provide any warranty help. Right. And you can have a low price all day long. So I would encourage our community. I think most of our listeners are pretty savvy. They know this. I mean, you get what you pay for. Your distributors and people like the distributors at Controls Group North America. I mean, we're making a living. We're doing okay, but you are totally not being gouged. I mean, so let's put it in another perspective. I mean, we're talking about boiler season now. Let's talk about rebuilt controls. Okay. So as you know, with flame safety controls, the Honeywells and Fire Eyes of the world, you're not authorized to have a rebuilt control. The insurance companies will tell you that you're not authorized to have a rebuilt control. There's one insurance agency that I think says, well, you can, but you're only going to be assured up to $2 million. So let's think about somebody selling rebuilt controls real quick. So they're taking a control back, they're trading it in, and whereas you might have to, from a distributor, you might be buying a new control, brand new, all the parts and pieces, UL approved, so you don't have any risk. You might have to pay $300-$400 for like an RA890 type thing, or RA7800, right? So, and your distributor, if he's lucky, is making 20 points on it. Okay. Now you take somebody selling a rebuilt control and you're buying a rebuilt control for 200 and something bucks. Okay. This guy that's selling you the rebuilt control and put you in jeopardy, Kenny, if there's an explosion, he's making about 200% markup on you, selling you something that's not, that's not even necessarily factory certified. So my question to our listeners out there is, who's giving you the better deal? The guy that's selling you the real McCoy and maybe making 20 points, or the guy who's selling you a bogus control that's rebuilt and will function for a while and might put you in jeopardy? He's making maybe a 200% markup. So that's what I have to say about that. What do you think?
Well, I think that there's so many variables that go into it, but of course, as a distributor, you can only recommend the utilization of 100% new stuff because of FM, IRI, UL, and there's been some great efforts made by rebuilders to accommodate the middle point there where they're saying that they provide insurance on their stuff and they do give a year warranty. And there's a difference because there are companies out there that do like fire and security, and they do restore. They salvage systems that are 30 years old, and they make that one part workable again. And that's not quite what we're talking about. We're talking about
flame safety.
Flame Safeguard, where people inside of a boiler room in a school, where the technician or the person that works on these mechanical equipment, like the back of his hand, he can walk by a compressor and hear it like a heartbeat and say that thing needs, I got to change the filter on this thing or whatever. These people, they know that they shouldn't use rebuilt controls. They don't want to, but the guy that's the bean counter says, you know what, I took that number you gave me and I went on the internet. I can buy this thing on eBay or whatever for $70, and you want $700 for a new conversion from taking one of these older things into a new one, and that economic evaluation is tainted because it's not right. I mean, it's not just a matter of finding the cheapest part to get the thing fixed. It has an obligation that the people in that building, where you have other people going to school there, or their tenants, or their hospital patients, they expect to be given the safest environment possible. So when you cut corners trying to buy rebuilt controls for Flame Safeguard, you're rolling the dice. Now, again, we've had this thing where we've got many letters back and explanations that these guys say that they do it, but we've seen that they blow off the dust on the relays, or they take a little wire brush and shine up the contacts and put them back in a box and give it a year warranty. And then this is where we've seen it's not like scare tactics or doomsday tactics. This is like what will happen is something else, and that system will go down. That thing will get pitted again, and then so you thought you saved money, but actually at the end of the year, or at the end of the return on investment that you would have made on a new system that was sound and fully warranted and fully authorized and sanctioned by the OEM, you didn't win, you lost. And then God forbid that there's an accident. But we're just trying to keep the even playing field. People got to do what they got to do, but yeah.
Well, no, Kenny, you're right. Now, I think there's certain things like legacy products and stuff like that. You mentioned fire and security. I mean, there's some companies, Johnson Controls, does some rebuilding. That company out of Louisville, ISA, but they don't even rebuild the Flame Safeguard controls. So, flame safety is where you got to stay out of it. And I tell you what, Kenny, having had 3 divorces, I can tell you, if I never have to meet another lawyer, I'll be happy. And, you're just inviting trouble with that. So, that's one. And then the other thing, the real thing is, I just encourage you to try to support your local full service distributor. Okay. Sort of analogy I'll give you is I'll go into the local Barnes and Noble and buy my books anytime I can. And the main reason I do that is because I got 2 small kids, and guess what? I can take my kids, they got story time. My kids can go play there, which is a huge value to me. Even though I can maybe save money buying books at Amazon, what the hell am I going to do if Amazon drives Barnes & Noble out of business? So every time I go in there, I let them know. I appreciate the fact that they're there. I trust. Same with my camera store. I support my local camera stores. And yeah, I might have to pay a little bit more for it, but I get better service. And what are we going to do in the world if your local camera store and stuff like that's not around? So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. And I think you'll find that overall your cost to deal with your local distributor is going to be a lot less than the money you might save if you buy off of Amazon or eBay, heaven forbid. So, all right, buddy, enough of that.
Well, that's your third one. So I think you are in I love a local distributor mood today. So that's good.
I am. I got babies to support, man. Babies need new shoes. That's why I look at people now. They go, why should I buy from you? My kids need new shoes. So actually, my value proposition now is I don't drink and I have an expense account. Let's go out. But speaking of one of the great companies in our industry, Kenny, Honeywell's updated their Spider and Striker tools. Tell us a little bit about that, buddy.
Well, Honeywell's delighted to announce the release of Webb's N4.2.36.34 software package that includes Spider, Striker, Venom, and BACnet FFT stat programming tools. So this is big. The release includes user interface enhancements bundled with Web Start application, as well as the Niagara 2.0 Niagara Analytics module. So this is huge for all the people out there that especially have converted from AX to N4 framework. They've been waiting for this release because now the main features are package tools to program your unitary controllers within Niagara software. Spider library migrated from AX to N4 framework. Of course, they're introducing the BACnet FFT tool package with the web's N4.2 software. You've got the built-in, as we said, Niagara Analytics software module, the standalone alarm portal, bundled Java web start application, which is real big. It also supports the CTN driver on the Web's 8000 controllers, and it supports Windows 10 and Linux RHEL.7 operating system.
Well done, Honeywell. Honeywell's on the move, and Honeywell's a platinum sponsor of the Control Trends Award. So thanks to Larry Weber and Troy Rickards and the rest of them at Honeywell for that. And speaking of that, we got a whole different thing. Let's go out to the open air. Tell us about Siemens, big dog.
Well, you're on the road, Eric. I'm telling you, I love it.
Let's go fly a kite, baby.
Well, here's the deal, and we said it, and the time of the year is that the platinum sponsors and all the sponsors for that matter, but anybody in the control business now that's into this the control trends thing is realizing that they've got to share the message. Like you said, messaging is so important. So Siemens has introduced a whole lot of marketing collateral that they've got a whole host of products. They've got a gigantic product platform, maybe the largest. I mean, you've got the main players. You've got Schneider Electric, Johnson Controls, Honeywell, and of course Siemens. Now, they have one of the most comprehensive portfolios of damper actuators that are tailored to suit all of your application requirements. So the benefit you have is that you can pick the right actuator for your application, and you can get the things that you need, whether it's positioning, control signals, communication standards, add-on options, and they have the beefy actuators that can do the tandem operations for large butterfly valves. They just got so many products, but this is a great little video because in 2 minutes they run through their entire portfolio, and we're going to see a lot more marketing collateral from Siemens because they really believe in getting the message out, and the fact that it comes through Control Trends goes out globally. So we get a lot of inputs and questions and answers from about different manufacturers from different parts of the world that we refer to other people. And so it's just it's kind of good. And I'm glad to see Siemens on board with a full stock of collateral.
Well, me too. And they got a lot of great people nominated for the Control Trends Award. And a special shout out to our listeners at Siemens, Kenny. I think, of all the major manufacturers, I think, their people in the field listen to us. I think probably to a man and woman. So I think they might be our largest company audience. So Siemens listeners, we really do appreciate you very, very much. And we appreciate your products, and we appreciate you guys being sponsored for the Control Trends Awards. We appreciate you being young, like Josh Felburn. He's one of the young guns on Rob Allen's Innovation Generation podcast. So, hey, buddy, next big post, man. Another cool guy, Varun Najaraj from Sierra Monitor. Kenny, I mean, they got a really cool product. Let's get wireless, baby.
Well, this is getting to the point where they make something very difficult relatively simple and straightforward and easy. This is a new product called the Proto Air Wireless Gateway. It is an external, high-performance, low-cost building automation and industrial control protocol gateway for original equipment manufacturers that provides manufacturers instant multi-protocol deployment of field products, enabling new or legacy devices to easily interface with other protocols. Now, that's a mouthful, but if you think about what we just said there, or what I just read there, is that you're going to see more and more innovation. And these guys were really big on IoT. They do the Internet of Technology Industrial. So they are working out there in the very difficult applications, utility companies, communication companies, Department of Defense applications where you've got to have 100% reliability. So they're taking some of these incredible products and they're making them available for our integrators. So it's maybe not as high cost, certainly not as high cost because we can't afford that. In our building automation, we need to have the economies of scale. We need people to sell a lot of stuff so that they drive down the cost, and that's what this is all about. This is a low cost building automation and control protocol gateway. It's going to come through the OEM markets first. So we're going to see other people rebrand these things and put them out there. But this is going to give you wireless interfaces with different legacy protocols. Pretty dang cool stuff.
No, that's cool stuff. And speaking of cool, Varun Najaraj has got to be one of the coolest executives in the industry. We've got a couple of CEO network talks that Varun did last year. You can still find those on Control Trend. So really, really cool stuff there. And Kenny, we're kind of getting up against it a little bit today, but Haystack Connect, we'll be covering that conference down in Tampa next spring, and they've got a call out for speakers. I encourage you to check that post out. All the details you need there to be able to find out, how to sign up to be a speaker for that. But that's something you're not going to want to miss. Haystack is one of the cool protocols in our industry, or tagging conventions in our industry. That's, if you don't know about it yet, you're going to want to. And then I want to really hit on Optigy, which is the next post, Kenny. They were named one of the 20 most promising energy management solution providers. Our man, Steve Galizium, and they've come on as a platinum sponsor, and we call him Stevie G because Kenny and I keep butchering his name, but we'll have Steve on here shortly in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. But what was your thought on that, man, after reading a little bit more about their product?
Well, it's interesting. Gazillium. I tried twice. We both said we tried twice, and we don't get it. That's the second one. We call him Stevie G and move on. Yeah. But yeah, Optigy is a division of Obrex Group, and this is a software provider of building automation and energy management tools. And they've received recognition as one of the 20th most promising energy management solution providers of 2016 by the CIO Insights organization. So, again, buildings consume 70% of the world's energy, half of which is wasted, states a study by MIT and the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. And this is where we're going to go after this. The study reveals that 90% of the wasted energy can be recovered by efficient energy monitoring. So these products are focused on the overall building economics, which we build tools to facilitate a better day-to-day management, says Steve Gazillium, president of Optigy.
I think you got it, big dog. I think you got it. And a special thanks to those guys for being platinum sponsors. We appreciate that. And they're on the nomination ballot. People have already chimed in and put them on the nomination ballot. And I tell you, not to be outdone, Kenny Smyers, one of our big supporters, fans, and listeners, recipient of the PID award a couple of times, Mad Mike Marston. He sent us a little video. Tell us about that next post, big dog.
Well, EasyIO Mike Marston's video used TCOM for tight integration to N4 and AX. I'll tell you, Mike, he can walk the walk, talk the talk, and I always like when Lim Hoon Chat and Mike get together, because Mike is really smart, he's really proficient, he's really fast with the programming, and he really knows what he wants to do. So he's like one step or two steps ahead of the class trying to follow him, and then Lim is always tries to keep a step ahead of Mike. So it's always fun to watch those two guys compete over how to do applications and whatever. But great ideas. But what Mike does here is EasyIO is on a march. Last week we got a chance to see that they have over 300,000 of their EasyIO controllers in the field and working every single application imaginable. So what they're saying is that the EasyIO FG32 Plus, the beast from the east with all the tools and everything inside of it, can actually really and truly work well with your Niagara AX or N4 supervisors. So the CPT tool is free, and it also is so formidable for integration, so that you can you never go backwards working with EasyIO. They're always pushing the envelope. They've always introduced the newest technology.
So Kenny, what exactly is TCOM?
Well, TCOM is a protocol that lets you talk to within your networks. It's like BACnet or Modbus. TCOM can link the different EasyIO controllers and can do different things and bring it into AX. So you buy the TCOM driver from MaxLine, put it into your Niagara framework, or put it into the supervisor, and then you can bring in all those EasyIO, all the information, all the histories, alarms, wherever, right in there, instantly accessible. The point schedules and histories are instantly accessible in the Niagara supervisor.
Very, very cool, Kenny. Well, again, great stuff from Mike Marston, and a special thanks to EasyIO, again, platinum sponsors of the 2016 Control Trends Awards. And Kenny, that leads us to our last post of the day, our friend, Fearless Phil Zito. What can you tell me about his post this week?
Well, I've listened to Phil. I regret that I don't get back to some of his emails because Phil is a very industrious guy. But again, his passion is just so profound. At the end of the day, it's all about you. You will leave. You will learn before you leave his site. So people getting into the building automation and wanting to learn more about it, highly recommend you buy into Phil's his book. He's publishing, basically a seminal document on BAS. He's done a lot of the boilerplate stuff, and as he said, he's getting past the equipment phases. It's getting a little dry, but now he wants to get into some of the more interesting aspects. But episode 36 and 37, we have a direct link to him. What is a BAS? He covers, the control systems, the system types, the functions of BAS, control processes, and control devices. Then episode 37, he has a 3-part series on what is a network. So this is really good stuff because if you don't have a good background and you want to get, a better, understanding of how networks and BAS works, Phil Zito has got the right answer for you.
Yeah, he really does, Kenny. Great stuff from Phil Zito. And Kenny Smyers, man, I tell you what, who your Steelers play today?
They play the Baltimore Ravens. That's why I'm wearing my Steelers shirt, because we need all the help we can get. I'm making Rita is wearing her Steelers sweatshirt today, or her shirt, because we got to get the mojo going here, because we got to follow Atlanta. Atlanta is the hottest team in the NFL.
I wish I could take credit for it, man. I was predicting they weren't going to win any games, but that just goes to show you how good I am at this stuff. But hey, is Big Ben playing today?
I have. They said yes. So, but that doesn't mean you can't get hurt or whatever. So, in fact, we've got 4 starters that have been out or coming back today, and we're picked to win. But I'll tell you, Baltimore's tough. They just they always play their best game against Pittsburgh, and it's going to be a blood and guts thing.
You guys playing in Baltimore or Pittsburgh?
Baltimore.
Okay.
So
buddy.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, there you go, Eric. Buddy. Well, listen, man, with that, I need to let you get to the game, my man, but I appreciate it. So that is another episode of Control Talk Now, your smart buildings video cast and podcast. A special thanks to all of our sponsors that make the 2016 Control Trends Awards possible. I encourage you, if you haven't voted yet, vote. You don't even have to go anywhere. You just click on the voting ballot right there on the front of controltrends.com where The Rock is. And if you don't vote, he'll come hunt you down. And if you cheat, he'll come hunt you down too. We know who's cheating. And you can send that ballot out to your network. And like I said, let's get out, let's vote, let's make it happen. The Control Trends Awards this year are going to be off the chain at the Hard Rock Cafe in Las Vegas. And so with that, Kenny Smyers, remember, be bold, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Be Kenny Smyers.